With less than 5 weeks until the midterm elections, Republicans are going all in on one issue: crime, releasing a garbage dump of attack ads targeting Democrats in key states. Perhaps the push has something to do with the realization that overturning Roe was actually wildly unpopular. Oh, by the way, they don't have any actual ideas on how to tackle other issues like inflation. But this strategy is actually something that we've seen before. Back in 1988, when George Herbert Walker Bush's campaign aired this ad.
Bush and Dukakis on crime. Bush supports the death penalty for first-degree murderers. Dukakis not only opposes the death penalty, he allowed first-degree murderers to have weekend passes from prison. One was Willie Horton, who murdered a boy in a robbery, stabbing him 19 times. Despite a life sentence, Horton received 10 weekend passes from prison. Horton fled, kidnapped a young couple, stabbing the man and repeatedly raping his girlfriend. Weekend prison passes. Dukakis on crime.
The purpose of that ad was to scare white voters to the polls in support of Bush and away from his Democratic opponent, Michael Dukakis. And it worked. So today's Republican Party ripped a page from the exact same racist fear-mongering playbook. Just take a look at the race for Senate in Wisconsin. Many of the pro-Ron Johnson ads have hammered Democratic candidate Mandela Barnes on the issue of cash bail, calling him a dangerous Democrat and making frequent mention of the person who plowed his car through a Christmas parade in Waukesha last year. While in Pennsylvania, Republican Senate nominee Mehmet Oz has gone after his Democratic opponent, John Fetterman, calling his work on criminal justice reform, quote, pro-criminal, and even insinuating that his tattoos, which represent his commitment as mayor to end gun violence, mean that Fetterman has ties to the Crips. You cannot make this stuff up. Some polls suggest that this strategy, as bizarre as it is, actually might be working. But as a new ad from 2 Democratic members of Congress points out, Republicans, including the House Minority Leader, don't exactly have the best track record when it comes to crime.
Kevin McCarthy, you want to talk about law and order? Okay, let's talk. Bakersfield, the heart of your congressional district, is now ranked in the top 10 most dangerous metro areas in America. Your own sheriff said, we know we have
a violent crime issue.
Kevin, your district has been the murder capital of California for 5 years in a row. And if you're so concerned about crime, why did you vote against $350 billion in funding for law enforcement? Every Democrat voted for it. When Democrats passed a bipartisan bill to fund local police departments, you didn't even bother casting a vote.
Joining me now is Congressman Eric Swalwell, Democrat from California, one of the Democrats behind that ad. The other person behind the ad is Representative Swalwell-Omar. So it's a pretty powerful ad pointing out the high crime rate in Kevin's own space. Ouch. How did you and Representative Omar come together to pull this off?
It was her idea, Joy, and she wanted to join us tonight. I know she had another commitment come up, but we were talking about it, and Ilhan said, hey, why are we taking this crap from them on defund the police and the racist fear-mongering they're doing when McCarthy has the 5th highest murder capital in the country? He voted against funding police departments. He voted against the most recent grant program that Ilhan and I both voted for. And when it came to the January 6th cops, he rooted for the rioters while the rest of us worked to honor the Capitol police officers. So he's not pro-cop, he's pro-coup, and everyone needs to know that.
And I mean, I know that you're friends with a lot of Capitol police officers, so I know you're speaking about people that you have great relationships with. It is interesting that overall crime doesn't rank that high when voters are asked what the most important issue is. It's well below things like the economy and abortion, which is more important, even climate change, things that we push to try to get people to talk more about, immigration. And crime is actually down. The FBI says crime is down. Violent crime is down. So why do you think Republicans are zeroing in on something that is not the top issue for voters, and it's also declining?
It's because they don't want to work the problems the American people are facing, Joy. They want to just work for their own power, and they do that through fear-mongering, or they do that through threatening violence. And that's what we've seen all the way through. And that's why it's important that Democrats reclaim many of these values that we've actually legislated on and enacted to help people, like freedom. We're the party that believes every woman should make her own healthcare decision. We're the party that believes your kid shouldn't go to school living in fear of gun violence. We're the party that believes you should be able to vote and have that vote counted. But too often we don't defend ourselves. We put both hands behind our back, and too often it's the upper hand that's really held back. And so I really want us to start pushing back against this nonsense, contrasting ourselves with MAGA Republicans. I think we win on that.
And how big is the buy, and where is the ad running?
Well, it's run digitally all over the country. And Joy, we have more coming. So we are working on a few more that are going to roll out, partnering with other influencers around the country to tell the story of who the Republicans are. We're going to continue to fight for people. They're going to continue to show themselves to fight exclusively on politics. And I think at the end of the day, in such a jump ball election, I'd rather go with the party fighting for people.